Bell tracks the usage of liberalism as a term by intellectuals and self-proclaimed liberals over time, and it seems like there are two definitions which we could use. The first refers to the original liberals in the 19th century who referred to themselves as anti-revolutionary supporters of liberty and social equality, generally through democratic means and free trade, leading to a support for capitalism. John Stuart Mills, a central member of UK liberalism's development, pushed forward on utilitarianism as a method to see the greatest number of people benefit as much as possible, turning liberty into mathematical calculations effectively. This early liberalism was able to define itself against the labor movement to the left and the Conservative Party to the right, allowing liberalism to find itself in the center, wanting to change some things but not change everything necessarily. But over time, liberalism would go into crisis as fascism and communism rose within Europe, while the labour movement within the UK saw more internal success in the UK Parliament than the Liberal Party did. Liberalism had to rebrand by expanding its narrative to 200 years before the term liberal was ever even actually used, going back to John Locke. This meant a support for universal individual rights in a constitution through a parliamentary democracy with limited government action defending the liberal democratic capitalist states of the West from fascism and communism. This is all kind of ironic because John Stuart Mills was actually somewhat against Locke's philosophy, but would come to be viewed as downstream as part of the same tradition. You've probably heard of the neoliberalism, which comes about in the 70s to 80s in Western liberal democracies, following pretty harmful experiments in South America. Neoliberalism, as per Hayek, argues that capitalists have to beat Soviet communism through a complete unleashing of the free market to counter the planned economy. Where liberalism was once about limited government action, the neoliberal would be about stripping government to its bones and letting the invisible hand do all the work, no matter the potential harm. Because supposedly a planned economy would lead to greater suffering than the harm caused by a completely unregulated free market. Liberalism, in its contemporary sense, seems to be in a pretty confused place. It doesn't know what it wants to be between its conflicting timeline, and it can't seem to answer the current questions because it's found itself so closely tied to the capitalist project, which has created many of the issues that people are now complaining about.